Now make a call in Virginia. It does go to President Bush.
And I am a native Virginian, and proudly so. This is one of the more conservative southern states, Virginia. It stayed in the Republican column. This is the southern state that did not vote for Jimmy Carter in 1976. It is a core Republican state in the South, and it has stayed Republican tonight.
And yet has a Democratic governor.
A Democratic governor. It used to
Doug
be solidly Democratic, then it was solidly Republican. Now it appears to have stayed Republican.
Well, it's three straight Democratic governors, as a matter of fact.
This is where the count is, the electoral count is right now. Governor Clinton, 239 electoral votes. George Bush, 46. We will be back with more coverage on this election night in a moment.
CNN's election coverage is brought to you in part by Merrill Lynch. We're bullish on the future. And by the new Dodge, a division of the Chrysler Corporation.
Risk. As hard as it is to live with, it's impossible to live without. At Merrill Lynch, we know that risk can be dealt with. It can be managed. It can even be turned to your advantage. To do that, you need a partner who understands it and can help you turn a world of risk into a world of opportunity. Merrill Lynch, we're bullish on the future.
We saw that a sedan could have standard airbags for both driver and passenger without costing a fortune. That thoughtful touches like air ducts in back as well as in front could enhance passenger comfort. We saw that with a cab-forward design, we could devote less room to machinery and gain more room for people. And now that we've seen what's possible in a four-door sedan, we can't see building one any other way. Intrepid. This changes everything.
Evolution of an extraordinary timepiece, achieved after 500 years of Swiss watchmaking. The Concorde Mariner 500.
Well, we're still at Grand Central Station. We got them lined up, and the Pitney Bowes copier is just pumping them out like a percolator.
My whole world is in this little book.
We've got all kinds of people coming up with all types of copies.
Credit cards.
Make enlargements.
My certification as a skydiver.
This is a conference on self.
Hey, handsome, how you doing?
Secrets.
Thank you.
I'm a therapist, and I've come across a lot of women who have
1,037,421 copies. The Pitney Bowes machine is still up and running, and it's running, well, it's running just like a machine.
Welcome back. Ken Bodie, President Bush cannot be very happy right now.
Well, he can't be very happy right now because when you look at that electoral college map, you see that Bill Clinton and Al Gore are moving against the Republican bloc in the South. They're breaking up the Republican bloc in the mountain states. They're winning the suburban vote tonight, and consequently, this is shaping up as a very different electoral map than we've seen for the last 6 elections.
That's right. The Republican presidential majority was built on the so-called Sun Belt coalition that included the South and the western states. But Bill Clinton has split the South with George Bush. A couple of major southern states, Georgia, Tennessee, Arkansas, went to Clinton. Virginia, South Carolina to Bush. West also splitting up in the election.
Let's take a look at some of the races that are too close to call at this time. The big state of Florida, 25 electoral votes out there.
Yes, this is a key prize. Bush is only narrowly ahead. It's still too close to call.
In North Carolina, again.
Sorry, Bernie. North Carolina, a state with a lot of population growth, a state that's been traditionally Republican, and a state that elected a Democratic senator this time, but still undecided.
Boy, hotly contested in those last several weeks. The state of Ohio, still too close.
This was a battleground. It still is. Both campaigns worked hard here, and it's close.
In Alabama, the story, again, too close.
Last 3 elections, Alabama has been Republican, part of the solid South, except for Jimmy Carter's election. Not necessarily tonight.
I'm sure disappointing to the Republicans they can't call this state, the state of Kansas.
When Kansas is too close to call, the Republicans have got to be in big trouble.
I suppose you could say ditto for Mississippi and its 7 electoral votes.
Yes, it's leaning GOP, leaning Republican at the end, but very close. Still can't call it.
And a repeat for the state of North Dakota.
Yes, North Dakota, Bush is running ahead, but it's still too close to call. The Farm Belt may be also lost to the Republicans this year if North Dakota goes to Clinton.
32 big electoral votes in Texas, and this state is still TCTC.
Well, the Democrats don't win the presidency if they don't win Texas, but this is Ross Perot's home state. It's George Bush's home state. It was a very, very competitive state right to the end and remains a very tough one to call.
Well, Arizona hasn't voted for a Democrat for president since 1948. At this point, it's undecided.
Undecided, which means we don't have enough information rather than too close to call.
Same story in Louisiana, 9 electoral votes to undecided.
The Democratic Party in Louisiana was very unified this year, and part of the reason they said, was they're tired of Republican U.S. attorneys prosecuting Democrats in Louisiana.
And the state of South Dakota, undecided as well.
Not enough information there yet, but South Dakota is another Farm Belt state. We'll see how the farm voters are going to go this year.
We haven't forgotten Wisconsin. The story is still unchanged at this hour. 11 electoral votes.
This was a Dukakis state in 1988. It was a very competitive state. Bill Clinton, George Bush, both campaigned in Wisconsin very late, and it's still too close to call in the Midwest.
And Wyoming was there for Bush in '88. It's still undecided.
That's James Baker's home state now. He's moved to Wyoming. We'll see if he's going to move back to Wyoming or stay in Washington, depending on what the outcome is tonight.
And wherever you are, if your polls are still open, we hope you will vote tonight. Remember, you have a voice when you vote, and if you're just joining CNN's all-night coverage, Governor Bill Clinton is this close. He has 239 electoral votes. President Bush has 46.
Well, and looking at the division there, we're moving into the West. We're starting to get polls closed. Let's see, it's 9:30. We'll have a group of states at 10.
Including those 2 Senate votes in California. I'll tell you one thing that came out of the exit polls. We asked people, was the choice of vice presidential running mate very important to you in deciding how to vote? And 28% of the voters nationwide said it was, and 2/3 of them voted for Bill Clinton, only 28% for George Bush. That's an indication that Al Gore was clearly a big plus for the Democratic ticket. Those voters who said the vice president was important voted heavily Democratic.
We are going to declare a winner in South Carolina's Senate race. Longtime incumbent